Welcome to the Fundamentals of Movement in Paddlesport.
Hello, I'm Hannah Craig. No matter what your boat, level or ability is, the three core principles that underpin paddle sport are balance, coordination and agility.
This triangle shows you the progression of skill development, starting with the fundamentals of movement, balance, coordination and agility. The fundamental movement skills take in running, jumping, sliding, gliding, etc. The fundamental sport skills are posture, connectivity, power transfer and feel. The top level is the sport-specific skills, which are all paddle sport disciplines. This DVD is going to focus on the fundamentals of movement, which are balance, coordination and agility. A greater understanding of this will enhance your ability to perform and coach. We will observe the basic skills at three levels: novice, practicing and skilled. In this, the fundamentals of movement in paddle sport.
In this section, we're going to explore the principles of balance.
Here, our novice paddler has been tasked with turning the sea kayak. The paddler's lack of balance awareness is impacting the ability to turn the sea kayak. Notice the little edge, hull wobble and poor body position. The novice paddler is not aware of the base and centre of gravity in a sea kayak. When the hull is flat, the base is here. The green dot and line denote the point inside the boat which is in the centre of gravity. That is, in the centre of the boat, just in front of the seat. Again, the novice paddler shows a lack of awareness of base and centre of gravity. The centre of gravity is towards the back edge of the paddler's base. The red dot highlights this, and the green dot is where it should be. The novice paddler's centre of gravity is towards the outside of the base. This forces the paddler to counterbalance. As you can see, the paddler's lack of understanding of balance in the kayak means she is not using the paddle to extend her base. This is further emphasized in the pool. Now you can see the impact of the lack of an awareness of balance. Now let's look at the practicing paddler's awareness of balance. As you can see from the paddler's body position, his centre of gravity is towards the back edge of his base. This results in poor rotation and an inconsistent edge. You can see that the practicing paddler is experimenting with his body shape to find the optimum position of his base and centre of gravity. The more awareness of balance in the craft means the paddler is more willing to experiment. As you can see, the practicing paddler is not far from the optimum position of balance. The red dot denotes where the centre of gravity is, and the green dot is where it should be. As you can see, the practicing paddler is not far from the optimum position of balance. Notice the inconsistencies of the paddler using his paddle to extend his base. This is typical of the paddler at a practicing stage. This is further illustrated in the pool. The paddler is bending from the centre of his upper body rather than from his hips. This is clear in the curvature of his back, which is also having an impact on his base. The skilled paddler is performing a sea kayak turn. Let's look at this from a balance point of view. Look at how the base and centre of gravity is controlled by the head and body shape. Notice a high level of balance awareness, which allows the skilled paddler to keep his centre of gravity inside the relatively small base. This results in the paddler being able to maintain an extreme edge. Here, the paddler is in the optimum position of balance, as you can see from his centre of gravity, highlighted by the green dot. Here you can see the skilled paddler is using the paddle effectively to extend his base and maintain balance. Also note the high level of balance awareness allows the paddler to generate significant force. This is further illustrated in the pool. On the right, the novice paddler is not using the paddle to extend the base. On the left, the skilled paddler is using the paddle to extend the base. Here it is again. Look at another skilled paddler and his high level of balance awareness. Notice how much higher the C1 paddler is. This has a massive impact on the base and centre of gravity, as it is much smaller. This paddler's centre of gravity is in line, as highlighted by the green dot. Note how the paddler stays in balance by using the paddle to extend the base.
We are now going to move on to the principles of coordination.
Note the lack of power being generated by the novice paddler. If you look closely, you can see the shape of the body is impacting on the chain of movement. This is evident in the lack of upper body movement and limits the paddler's ability to engage the correct chain of movement to generate force. Again, in the pool, you can see clearly the breakdown in the chain of movement. Here you can see that the novice performer has moved into practicing stage. This is due to her greater understanding of the chain of movement. It is still being developed at this stage, which is the reason she is not generating maximum force. Here is the same stroke, this time in the pool. Look at the significant difference of power being generated by the skilled paddler. This is because the correct chain of movement is being used. The force is being generated from the core out. Look again at the force being generated from the core out. Look at another skilled performer executing the same stroke, this time in a C1. See how the chain of movement is being used to generate force. In this novice demonstration of the draw stroke, power output is limited because of the complexity of the cross-body movement. This impacts the chain of movement and the ability to generate force. In the pool, you can see, as previously identified in the balance section, the novice performer's centre of gravity is towards the outside of her base, in other words, behind her seat, and this is affecting her ability to perform cross-body movement. Here you can see the practicing paddler performing the draw stroke. Due to restricted rotation, cross-body movement is limited. This impacts the chain of movement and the ability to generate force. The cross-body movement can be seen more clearly in the pool. Here you can see the high level of body awareness. The skilled paddler can generate force through effective cross-body movement. See how the skilled paddler's balance is highly developed, allowing for greater cross-body movement. See how the elbow extends fully across the body. This highlights good cross-body movement. On the left of the screen, notice the limited cross-body movement. Now look at the effective cross-body movement on the right. Here it is again. Look at the skilled C1 paddler's highly developed cross-body movement. The novice in the pool displays a lack of understanding of balance. This is apparent by the way she throws her body back, which is impacting on her base and centre of gravity. She can no longer coordinate the correct chain of movement. Because of his awareness of balance, base and centre of gravity, this paddler's support stroke skills are at the upper end of practicing. This allows for a more efficient chain of movement. Look at how the skilled performer can stay in balance, even with his face in the water. An enhanced awareness of base and centre of gravity allows the skilled performer to have a smooth coordination of movement. By lifting his head, the skilled performer has broken the chain of movement. A break in the chain of movement can have this kind of impact on all performance. Now look at the skilled paddler with backrest and footrest removed. Even when disconnected, due to high body awareness, he can still perform the correct chain of movement. Limited chain of movement from the novice is impacting the generation of force. The result of this is the boat skidding out of the turn and sliding sideways. This paddler, at the upper end of practicing, has an enhanced awareness of the chain of movement. This is allowing him to generate more force, and the result is the boat maintains a course throughout the turn.
Our final section is on the principles of agility. It's through agility that we challenge balance and coordination.
In this section of agility, we have a variety of paddlers paddling a prescribed course, which involves starting, stopping, accelerating, and changing direction, which are some of the core principles of agility. In order to paddle effectively, highly developed balance and coordination skills are required. Over the following scenes, take note of the body shape, boat and power being generated, and the impact this has on the paddler's ability to paddle the course. Note the skilled paddler's ability to effectively accelerate and maintain momentum. This momentum is maintained throughout the turn. Here is another example of a skilled paddler. Notice how he can accelerate and maintain speed throughout the course. This is also evident throughout the turn. As you can see, the practicing paddler's ability to accelerate and maintain momentum is less effective. This is due to underdeveloped balance and body awareness. See how the kayak wobbles. This impacts on her balance, which breaks down her chain of movement. Here, the novice paddler's underdeveloped balance and body awareness further emphasises the lack of ability to accelerate and maintain momentum on the prescribed course. His chain of movement has broken down as a result of his lack of balance, which is why he can't remain on course. As you can see, the novice kayak paddler has moved to the upper end of practicing. Note their ability to accelerate and maintain momentum throughout the prescribed course in the open boat. This is due to well-developed balance and body awareness in this craft. Notice the stability of the craft. This in turn allows for the paddler to perform the correct chain of movement to maintain a steady momentum. Now let's see some more examples of novice and practicing performances in the open boats. See how the first paddler struggles to keep the boat balanced and in the required direction. The paddler's awareness of balance in this craft is limited. This is impacting on her ability to generate force and accelerate. This is due to a breakdown in the chain of movement. The skilled paddler from the kayak can transfer her knowledge of balance and coordination into this craft, allowing her to generate force and accelerate. Over the next few scenes, we have further examples of paddlers negotiating a new course. Note that the skilled paddler can transfer her highly developed balance and coordination skills into another boat and can still paddle the course effectively. Her change of direction is seamless. Now let's look at the practicing paddler. Her balance and coordination is steady as she starts, but as the craft changes direction, these movements break down, resulting in the craft losing speed. The novice performer's balance in this craft is impacting on his ability to maintain the correct chain of movement. This does not allow him to maintain momentum and change direction efficiently. Finally, have a look at this last course. It's a good reminder of the difference between skilled, practicing and novice performances, and the journey through which you will guide your students.
As you have just seen, by developing a higher understanding among your students of balance, coordination and agility, you will help them develop their full potential on the water. Good luck and enjoy your paddling.